Good morning, Biblionauts and company. Because I know there is a shadow looming around in the background of of non-Biblionauts, and I don't know they will arrive to my channel because this is like a little corner inside a little corner. But if you are here, welcome. Take a seat. This won't take long, although the title might make you think otherwise. This is just a little video and a little book recommendation for Capitalism Apologists. Which is to say, well, there is a joke around my channel about me being a Marxist. I like to joke about it because many people assume that just because I am not a capitalist apologist, I am, in fact, a Marxist, which is to say to them, in their opinion, that I am also naive, right? I am not a Marxist. I've never been a Marxist. Even in my youngest, naivest years, I was an anarchist because I read a couple of books that were really good critiques of the world in which I lived. And I thought that that meant that probably the thesis and solution that the book offered was right. I am no longer that. I don't think that anarchism works in big societies. But I still think that pretty much every alternative to capitalism might not be plausible, but the ideologies, the intellectual critiques that are contained within those alternatives are plausible. I think that Marxism offers really good critiques of the capitalist system, although Marxism itself, communism, is not a nice alternative. It's not a plausible alternative that could actually bring the world to a better place. At least in theory, because I haven't done enough reading. So my position at the moment is of Socratic ignorance, as always. I am only thinking and wondering, about alternatives and, of course, observing what to me seems evident, observable reality, that is that the world in which we live is not the best we can do. It's not even good in many ways. And in many ways, we pretty much have attached the expire date to our species by behaving the way in which we do. And I think that those attitudes, those mechanisms that make this world not as nice as it could be, are not inherently human, but are intrinsic to the system, to the framework of social behaviors, economic behaviors that we have implanted in capitalism. Although it's not exactly capitalism that we have at the moment. We live in a post-capitalist world, in my opinion. But my point being that when these people criticizes and reacts to someone giving any alternative or any criticism of capitalism by appealing to their naivety, they are themselves enacting an attitude that a writer I like, although he only really wrote one good book, Mark Fisher, talked about in a book that I want to recommend to all of you, and that is Capitalist Realism, which is a book that talks about that attitude of like conformism with the establishment. If the fact, and you do because you're not stupid, if you know that the world in which we live is not the best we can do, and every time you see someone trying to criticize it or tackle its brutal truths critically, you call them naive or you call them out, then you are being intellectually lazy, and you are in some ways helping to that system to perpetrate those injustices that are within it. So you don't have to be a Marxist, you don't have to be an anarchist. I am not either of them. I am Greeks, and that's all, among other things, actually. In order to be critical of the things that give you also all the other benefits that, of course, are contained within it. So it's not less abolish the system, it's not less burn the world, it's not less go to the parliament and remember 5th of December. It doesn't have to be either or. That black or white mentality in which you sort of like feel like you have to defend the system that gives you the food or the everyday bread is part of the problem. And Mark Fisher talks about it in a really nice way in Capitalism Realism, a very short book, very, very worth reading, one of my favorite books ever. And it's the first step towards becoming critical about this system, is assuming that there is something to be critical about. And assuming that because there is something to be critical about doesn't make you a contrarian. So that's the video. That's all I wanted to talk about. My memory is gonna die at some point, so I better say bye now. Capitalism, Mark Fisher. Just watch out for that, because I think that that conformism with the establishment is like pretty much in everyone, and it doesn't have to be